Basically attached the tracing paper to the photocopy and divided up the image vertically and horizontally. I started tracing in the shapes, and I said to only attach it at the top and the bottom of the page so that you can lift up the sides and have a look at what's going on underneath. I've attached the tracing paper to the photocopy of the tree, the picture of the tree. I'll undo it so you can just see a minute. So there's the picture of, we're copying, yes?
Yes.
I've put the tracing paper over the top.
So why are we doing the tracing paper?
To inform one's understanding of the image.
Thank you. Okay.
So all we've done so far, Sil, is divide up the tracing paper vertically and horizontally, draw 2 lines, and then the majority of the group have started to just trace around the shapes. I said to attach it only at the top and the bottom so that if necessary you can lift up the edge and check what's underneath and see how accurately you've traced it.
Okay.
So we start tracing now, do we?
Yes, please. Now, really do it carefully and accurately. You don't have to do every single last branch. I think as long as you get I think really establishing the lower part as well as you can is probably the most important, especially this area where the stream is. Everybody just concentrates on the lower half of the minute, and then we can talk about the upper bit in due course. If you want to take the those 3 on the right, you can take them. There's that one that goes right to the top of the page. You can draw that one in because it divides here just above the halfway line. But just check and lift up the side and have a look and see what's going on, and then draw that bit and then go back and do the same thing. Now when you come to doing a copy of trees like this, and you're tracing around the areas of the foliage, I use a sort of line that went kind of like this. I mean, it's a it's a stylization. Sorry, can you see that? You see that little shape? Yeah. So in this top right-hand area where there's all these they're just little leaves and there's lots of sky coming through, I kind of simplified the silhouette by doing this. I don't think trying to draw every single last leaf is really required. The other thing to note about this, I mean, this is obviously an oil painting, and I'm just going to take the top thing off. The way that this has been dealt with, apart from on the edges here, where the light, there's a light hitting the leaf, the foliage. Most of this is pretty dark. I mean, it goes from really intense dark to a sort of half tone to light. Okay, so where the sunlight is hitting the trees, you can see a little bit more detail on the edge of the leaves, but not much. Mainly, he's dealt with this in terms of tone. He's done it as a sort of a tonal painting. So that's one thing to sort of just take on board. If you look at the branches, I mean, on these big branches here and the trunks here, in every case, the light is coming in from the left, isn't it? And hitting that left-hand side of each of those trees. Yeah. So you get this very, very light, almost crisp edge in places. So in order to make the tree shapes look cylindrical, he's used tone, yeah? So he's gone from very light to half tone to very dark on the right-hand side. The other thing to note is that what makes this painting convincing in terms of how he's portrayed these trees is as you getting, well, as in reality, you get patches, especially towards the upper part of this side of the painting, where the sky is breaking through the foliage. And it's worth noting that, because that kind of animates it all. The other interesting bit I find of this particular painting is, well, it's called Beech Trees by the Brook, I think that's what it's called. And what he's done is he's given us this edge of the bank, which again has got light on it, so it sort of highlights that fact that that's an edge, meeting a sort of dark area, which is, I think, the brook. Yes. And the other interesting thing is the way it diminishes as it goes away from us because of perspective. So the shape diminishes. So the width across here is made to look narrower than the width across here, which is where it's closer to us, right? The other place, or the other way he's used perspective in this painting, is look at these little trees here, which are quite a long way off. They're in the distance. He's made them shorter, narrower, smaller. And then gradually, as the brook comes towards us, the height and width of the trees slightly enlarges. So he's done that deliberately to get this wonderful sense of space that's running through the picture. Yeah. And also he's made use of light, because all of this, in fact, this whole corner is lit with light, isn't it? It's, you know, it's very obvious that the light is coming through the trees, and, you know, is making this a very light contrast in terms of the painting to this much darker foreground and right-hand side. Okay, so that's just a little bit about the picture. The reason I asked you to trace it is not to then scribble on the back and trace it down. I mean, you could do it like that, but I actually would like you to construct the drawing on your bigger piece of A3 paper. You can draw the corners in if you want to before we get going. You can place it on the middle of your page, and you can actually define where the corners of this image are going to be, like this. I'll take this off in a minute, you can have a look. So between those marks, can you see them? Is that all right? Yes, you can see them. Between those marks, you can join it up with a ruler if you want to, is where your image is going to be created. And you're going to take the tracing paper, you're going to just unhinge one end of it, flip it back, turn it over, put it to one side. Now you can, if you want to, take the tracing paper off altogether and put it on the right-hand side of your, or left-hand side, whichever you wish, of your board, so you can actually see it. So if I do it just to show you, you've got the outline there on the left, and you can use that to draw. So you can use that as your master copy to actually transfer onto here, and you don't have to look at the original, just to get the outline. Having done your tracing, having got your tracing here ready, I would then draw around the photocopy, so you've got your perimeter of your drawing, join up those corner marks so you know where your drawing is going to be, and you're not going to go beyond those lines. So your final drawing will be no bigger than A4 at most. Oops. Right, and then you can start to transfer this onto here. Now, what I would allow you to do, and I think it's, you know, I've done this with portraits in the past, and it's a great way of learning, is once you might draw your first tree shape in here. And then in order, you can actually put your tracing paper over it and have a look and see how accurately you've drawn it by eye. If it's not totally inaccurate, then you can rub out what's on here and correct it. But I do not want you putting this on here and sort of marking the back and then trying to mark it through. That's not going to teach you very much. I think I might actually also put the halfway mark onto here as well, just to help myself.
Mm.
Okay, let's just stop there. I've only done a very few lines, but that's fine. I'm now going to just put mine over the top and see how well I have seen or otherwise this study. And I can see already that the angle of this brook I brought too far in, or too far out rather. I need to bring it in a bit. The main trees are not too bad. So that's all I would do. Just note, I just need to bring this out a bit. The shape's okay, but I've actually made it a bit too wide here. So I'm just going to bring it in a bit. So and don't try and jump ahead. Don't let your eyes jump ahead. Just keep it, very focused on a small area before you move on to the next area. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, now something and get it completely and utterly wrong.
I'm struggling with some of the angles.
Yes, well, don't let your eye wander. Just keep your eye focused on a small bit and then, keep checking it.
Sue, are you referring to your tracing or to the coloured drawing?
The tracing. I'm just referring to my tracing to get the lines in the right place on this bigger piece of paper. And if I put this exactly in the middle, in fact, that line is absolutely accurate, which is amazing, that one there. And I just want to see, this one's not fat enough. down on the page. Is that? And I've attached it top and bottom in the middle.